Hi, my name is Chris Stoddard. I am a Dare County Extension Master Gardener volunteer. One of the events that the Master Gardeners were really looking forward to was a presentation on azaleas, especially the azaleas in the Outer Banks Arboretum and Teaching Garden. Unfortunately, it is canceled. So we're bringing you some of the pictures online. During this time, getting outdoors and enjoying the fresh air and everything that spring brings is a wonderful thing to do. The azaleas and the arboretum are in full bloom and will be for the next few weeks. Get your exercise by walking through the arboretum, which surrounds the Thomas A. Baum Senior Center. The warm weather we have had has encouraged the azaleas to bloom 3 weeks earlier than usual. Try not to miss this beautiful display. It is worth the walk. Now, let's talk a little bit about azaleas. Azaleas are among the most popular flowering shrubs grown. Botanically, all azaleas are classified in the rhododendron genus. Their planting and care requirements are basically the same, but there are structural differences which may help you tell them apart. True rhododendrons have 10 or more stamens, and the underside of the leaves may be scaly or have small dots. Now, azaleas, native azaleas, have 5 stamens, and their leaves do not have scales, and sometimes they are covered with fine hairs. The rhododendron flowers tend to be more bell-shaped, while azalea flowers are shaped like a tube or a funnel. Well, because of the many improvements in crossing rhododendron and azaleas and native azaleas, there is sometimes no clear-cut way to distinguish between the two. There are an infinite number of cultivars and hybrids. Some of the azaleas that will do well on the Outer Banks are pictured here in this presentation. For a full list, you can request a copy of the handout by going to greenlineobx@gmail.com. If you want healthy, vigorous azalea plants, good site selection and proper planting methods will make a difference. There are so many varieties available, it is important to consider whether it is adapted to the area in which it will be planted. Those plants not suited for our area will have poor results year after year, no matter how much you work with them. Azaleas prefer cool, partially shaded sites, such as the filtered shade underneath pine trees. Flowers last longer when plants are partially shaded. There are some varieties that can tolerate a little sun, but they all prefer an area that does not expose them to long periods of full sun and drying winds. Planting azaleas in heavy shade may result in poor flowering and weak growth. Now, azaleas like slightly acidic soil, about a 4.5 to 6.0 pH range. Before planting, test the soil in various areas. You may consider or want to plant the azalea, then adjust the planting sites according to the results. This is a lot easier than trying to adjust soil pH. Another thing you have to consider is good drainage when you pick a site. It is needed to avoid damage to the roots. They do not like wet feet. The best time, of course, to plant azaleas is in the fall, but of course the best selections are available now. When planted in warm weather in sandy soils, these plants may require watering of the root mass at least twice a week during the first year. Otherwise, they're perfectly happy. They only require irrigation during very dry periods. Now, as I said before, mulch, very important. Keep the mulch a couple of inches away from the main stem to keep the bark dry, but you need at least 2 to 3 inches of mulch around the outside of the roots. Azaleas also have low nutritional needs compared to some of the other shrubs. If prior to planting you had your soil tested and amended with organic matter, that usually will provide enough nutrients for adequate growth. Now, these next few slides are a few of the azaleas that are recommended for here on the Outer Banks. First off, the Encore series. It's a beautiful series of reblooming azaleas. They bloom in the spring and again in late summer or fall. The Piedmont azalea. Now, that's one of the most popular, and it does very well here on the coast. It has a slight fragrance, but it can grow up from 10 to 15 feet tall. The Alabama azalea. It has white flowers. It is a low-growing shrub, and it blooms basically in mid-April to May, and it also has a kind of lemony slight fragrance. The Florida azalea. It's highly recommended for along the coast. It has a great heat tolerance. The Southern Indica azalea. These are popular cultivars. They are vigorous, upright growers that can reach 7 to 10 feet tall. These are the azaleas that are in the Arboretum. There also have been many crosses of native azaleas, such as My Mary pictured here. They do well down here on the Outer Banks. It's a beautiful shrub. It has large, fragrant flowers. There are so many varieties, colors, and sizes to choose from that can enhance your landscape. It is difficult to decide which one to think about. Just be sure to do your homework and find an azalea that is recommended for the Outer Banks area. Now, like most plants, azaleas does have its pests and diseases. Insect and disease monitoring and control are essential if you want to keep your azaleas healthy and beautiful. Insects and related pests presenting problems on azaleas include lace bugs, leaf miners, and spider mites. Diseases that can occur include leaf gall, petal blight, and root rot, and some other fungal diseases. Talking about these pests and diseases is almost another presentation, but there is an excellent website from Clemson that provides information on these problems and ways to combat them, and it's very complete. It's on the last page of this presentation. Even if you're not an azalea fan, you will enjoy the beautiful display in the Outer Banks Arboretum and Teaching Garden. It is just wonderful to sit there on the bench and see all these beautiful azaleas in full bloom. Now, for more information on azaleas that will grow here on the Outer Banks, you can go to greenlineobx@gmail.com or use some of these other websites. All of them are from Clemson, and they offer great information. Thank you for listening.